The other thing I want to
gems right there.
Yeah. Exactly. You were asking before about in a relationship, like how do you deal with it? I would say one of the things you have to understand is like she's going to need you to speak and like when you talk about listen, she just wants you to listen. So you're kind of speaking in an emotional way when you're doing that. And then she also needs to understand the concept of like, this is just me. Maybe some other men feel different. I am more concerned with her respecting me than loving me. When I get respect, if I get love from a woman, that's absolutely fantastic. If I want her to love the children, I want her to do anything for the children. I want her to have outrageous, completely unadulterated, just delusional levels of love for the children. That's totally fine. For me, for this family, for this brand that we're putting out there, I want respect. That's the main thing. And so in the communication that I'll have with my partner, it's one of these things where I need to explain that. I need to sit them down and explain these concepts. Like, hey, this is like, I'm going to sit here and listen to you, but like eventually I'm going to miss work. Like we have to understand that there's a boundary. For me, the 3 boundaries that I said is this is work, this is my workout, and this is sleep. And in those 3 boundaries, I need you to understand. It's like, if I don't pick up the phone immediately, you've got to understand that this is for the things that we do so that we can go on that trip to Cancun. Yeah. And if that doesn't work, you are dealing with maybe a financial predator. You got Brittany Renner. You know what I'm saying? Like she needs you have to, if she can't understand that concept right there, that's one of the big have you ever heard the drug dealer effect? Have you guys ever heard of this?
What's that?
The drug dealer effect is when a girl dates a drug dealer. He has a ton of money to spend, a ton of free time. You know what I'm saying? And he's always got the drugs. So every boyfriend she has from that point forward, if he works his ass off, he's not going to have enough time for her, but he'll have money. And if he doesn't work his ass off and he's got time, he's not going to have any money. The drug dealer effect is like, he's got time and money. And so it just kind of like ruins girls and they get this, like this ridiculous perception. There's one other thing I want to say. If you remember the guy you were talking about, Justin Baldini, if I'm out here trying to take advice from a dating coach or a relationship coach, I would be very skeptical of any really good looking male model or actor who's telling men to just be themselves and be more sensitive.
It's like, dude, you were given the right hand at birth, so stop it.
I'm just saying, it's like, but no, I don't hate the guy, but it's like one of these things like you can't possibly understand this issue. And then the second one is the woman who is like, she has this boss energy and she's like, don't listen to no man, do whatever. I'm like, you can do, but if you're a woman, you can do that. Just, you shouldn't be a dating coach. Like that's not good advice to get into a relationship. And then finally, anyone who gives relationship advice, we saw some matchmakers the other day and that, you know what the advice was for men? The same thing it was for women. When it's the same advice for both genders, that tells me you don't know. That tells me it's like, you guys need to open up more and just increase the conversation. I'm like, no, he doesn't. The man needs to ask more questions to get her talking more. And in doing so, she will build attraction and then he can actually become mysterious to raise his status. See how that's different? See how he needs to do a different thing than she needs to do? That's game. That's called game. If you don't understand that, that's fine. But that's how intersexual communication works. Anyone who's like, here's my advice for dating, and they don't make it gender specific, they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know. They're generally born on third base and thought they had a triple. It's one of these really good looking people or women that just kind of gotten everything in life. They've done this experiments. I don't know if you've seen it, where they give good looking women the Tinder profiles of average looking men. And they're like, use this Tinder profile to go pick up a woman. And these women are so morbid, just insanely overconfident. Yes, I'm going to get laid. I'm going to get laid by, and they write these crass messages to women like, hey, I want to come fuck you, all this kind of stuff. And the women of course get destroyed. And then they're confused. They're like, how come I don't get any matches? Because it's hard for men to get matches with women. And you didn't know that because you only recognize Brock, the bartender, and fucking Steven, the male stripper. Those are the only men you see. And because of like, what was the other one? I saw this one YouTube video where the guy was like, you know, what kind of guy would you date? Would you date that guy? Well, somebody was asking a girl, would you date that guy over there? And she goes, which guy? And she's like, that guy over there. And she goes, I don't see which guy. And he goes, that guy over there. He goes, you mean the one behind the mailman? No, we're talking about the mailman. Would you date? She doesn't even see him. She doesn't even, it's not that he's ugly. She doesn't even see him. And so from that standpoint, like that's where you get, like when I listen to people give advice, I'm like, if you don't understand that there are indeed innate sex differences, then I don't need to listen to your advice.
I brought that up when we were talking about like how women are like really invested in this idea that like men who are in therapy are like sexy because they're working on themselves. Like, get the fuck out of here with it. Well, yeah, it is. Or they'll call you like any ex-boyfriend is a narcissist. It doesn't matter. I say this all the time. They're actually like what, 5% of the population or 1% of the population. It's like, no, it doesn't matter. If you broke up with you. You're a narcissist. It's clinical, right? But no, I brought this up as well as like when I was bringing up the idea or the truth or the fact that men and women's brains are wired differently. They are literally, the synapses are not the same. Men tend to, like, men don't cry they're not stunted emotionally because they didn't cry it on Titanic, right? At the end of Titanic. There's nothing wrong with you if you don't cry at the end of Titanic. But there's this idea that if men don't emote like a woman, there must be something inherently wrong with that woman or that guy, right? He's not emoting the way that a woman would, so therefore he needs therapy. He needs to go to a therapist so he can learn how to be more emotional.
The reason you're behaving that way is because of trauma in your past.
Exactly. And so now he's being gaslit. He's like trying to think whether or not he's actually, do I have something wrong with me? Why don't I emote more, right? And then, conditionally tries to condition himself. One of the things I was saying is like any therapist, any woman who's trying to give you like relationship advice for men, like why first, and then second of all, if that woman is not acknowledging the inherent differences, the physical differences, the mechanical differences of men and women, then run away. Because that woman is basically trying to solve male problems with female therapy. It does not work. Female therapy, you want to focus on emotions and talk about your feelings and all this stuff. The best therapy for men is what? Get your ass in the gym or go solve problems, go to the gun range, do things.
Accomplish things. You want to get male therapy is accomplishing goals. Right. That's all it is. You see a goal. And if the goal is to shoot free throws or the goal is to hit a target with your gun or if the goal
Why
is
do men think the squat rack is therapy? Because it fucking is. That's because it literally is.
But now you got the men that think that therapy is the resolution and the women that think the gym is their therapy, right?
Yeah, there's some of that too. Yeah, I've seen that with women like extremely emotional, or some women who actually have high testosterone, just generally high testosterone. They'll go to the gym a lot and they'll just work out their insecurities or whatever in the gym. And I'm for it. I'm all for it. Also, their insecurities by getting bigger boob jobs. Again, I am. Keep going. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. I have no problem with either one of those things. Fully encouraged. If Obamacare had boob jobs included, I would have voted for that motherfucker in 2 seconds.
Have you guys seen these like new? It's like a new thing on, I guess, YouTube mostly, where they do like 20 verse 1 shows. And it'll be like, it's a line of 20 dudes and they all have a balloon and there's one woman. The woman comes to the front of the line and they can all off first glance pop their balloon and be excluded. And then they'll go down the line and say, well, why did you pop your balloon so early? Or why did you not? And so
what's it called? 21?
20 verse 1. They've done it a couple different ways. They've also done it the opposite where it's 20 women in one guy. And they'll say, well, I popped my balloon just because you're short. Or I popped my balloon because I don't like the way you answered that question. Or you brought a suitcase and there's probably nothing in it. Little stuff like that. You guys haven't seen this stuff?
It's 21.
It's pretty interesting because it's actually one of the ones that are done right, where the women get told about themselves by a line of 20 men.
Oh, geez.
And they're like, well, he just started a conversation with you and you started chewing them up. I'm out. And they're like, but
I just imagine like a fat shit comes out like
no, it happens, man. And sometimes you can hear the exact moment when everybody's like, I'm out. I'm
going to tell you another place. So I've hosted maybe 50 pageants and bikini competitions so far. Sick. And one of the things that happens is there's a group of girls that will show up. Like the one we do at Wet Republic is about 200 girls, and the ones we do at Swimsuit USA is about 70 girls. And there's some girls there that are just there for the experience, and good for them. I love those girls. They're really good. They're very they have a ton of gratitude, and they know they're not going to win, and that's fine. If
they're having a good time,
they're having a good time. Those are some of my favorite people. I invite them to my charity events, and I love being friends with them. Those girls are great. Then there's a group of girls that are like the last couple girls that have won my bikini competition, who are amongst the most beautiful women who have ever walked this entire planet. And the moment they showed up to my contest, I'm like, you're obviously going to win. It's like very odd.
Amber.
Yeah, for sure. Like you see them and immediately like, okay, you're obviously going to win. And you know what's funny thing about these girls? They show up on time. They say thank you. They're actually really, really cool. They respond. They never no call, no show. They're professional. They're in unbelievable shape. Hair and makeup is done. They're just amazing. Okay. And then there's a third type of girl. And this third type of girl is like has 2,000 followers on IG asking me for a plane ticket to come out to Las Vegas. And then when she gets there and she gets absolutely fucking curb stomped by some of the girls in Vegas because she's overweight. She's like, you rigged this contest against me.
Why would you invite me?
Like, why would you
embarrass me?
No, not what do you invite? No, because she thinks she should have won. No, it's just crazy because what has happened is FaceApp, Facetune, and Instagram have caught, and also the money that some of these women make on OnlyFans. It made them think think that they were a 9 when they weren't. This is why women complain about settling. Hardly any of these women are settling. You're actually probably dating a guy who's you're supposed to be dating. It's just you. Most women find most men to be unattractive, and most women have delusional views about themselves because dating apps and social media make them all think they're 9s. You don't believe me? Listen to them when they go on these panel shows. They all say that they're 9s and 10s. So they'll come to my bikini competition, and this is like literal, like this is the most brutal. You are comparing women to other women, and there's money involved, and there's judges, a number of judges, and some of my judges are women, and they go up there and they're like, there's some girl who's morbidly obese. She's a bachelorette, and she's got a tutu on, and her friends are screaming their fucking ass off, and people going crazy. She's trying to do the splits, and everyone's like, God, I love her energy. Her energy's so great, but she gets a 1. She gets a 1 on the sheet, and everybody's like, "You rigged this. These people, I'm beautiful."
She's beautiful.
Yeah, but that's what happens. It's like the reason why I even get in trouble is the reason why I love the bikini competitions is because there's this leveling effect where this is the first time any of these women have been told, "Hey, I know you think you're pretty. That's what pretty really looks like."
Pure Darwinism.
And it totally is. And the first round, everyone gets to go up. And guys are always like, Michael, isn't it annoying to you when girls come up there and they have no business in being on there? I'm like, no, I love it. Because it actually shows, like, I would rather know the difference. I know that probably Kyrie Irving can take me off the dribble. I'm pretty sure he can. I'm not so delusional to think that can't happen. It is okay for me as a man to understand my limitations.
I mean, you don't have a bunch of followers on Instagram that says you can do that. You can actually take them.
Exactly. Like I'm pretty sure. You
can beat Mike Tyson.
I'm pretty sure. Even if I got to his right hand, he's still going left. He is gonna blow by me. All right. Now, it is okay for me as a man to register my own limitations. But for some reason, because women are told you have no limitations, while I get why you're doing that for her self-esteem, she is going to be destroyed when she comes to a place where those limitations actually has to face real life. And so you're doing her a disservice by spoiling her. That's essentially what's going on. And so whenever I watch these beauty contests, bikini competitions, or whenever I see girls try out for the pools in Las Vegas and they don't get a single callback because they didn't understand that tattoo that your pimp put on the front of your fucking thigh, or that big fucking tattoo in between your titties that you got.
Your chandeliers.
It's like that no one told you to get. That tattoo that you got, now these people don't want to fucking hire you anymore. I'm sorry, but you didn't listen. Because you get so much positive affirmation on social media, you actually start to believe this, and it becomes so problematic. And I'm not trying to say it because I know other red pill creators would be like, yeah, you take that, you delusional 304. Like, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you've done yourself a disservice by not recognizing, like, dude, can you imagine? I put 475 on the bench. Here we go. It just put, like kill myself. Like, no, I can't bench press 475 pounds. And I know that I can't, I can't go dunk on somebody in the NBA. I know what my limitations are. But it doesn't hurt my ego. It might hurt my ego a little bit, but it doesn't make me depressed. It doesn't hurt my self-esteem. It doesn't hurt my self-esteem to be like, hey, you know what? Why don't you go just buy a new Bugatti? I don't know if I got it like that. To buy a Bugatti, like a $4.3 million Bugatti, I got it, but maybe not like that. But me knowing that doesn't make me want to cry or feel bad about myself. And maybe it's because I'm a man and I'm just not quite as sensitive. But like when you let, like, again, most recent relationship in this situation, she's so pretty that every dude told her yes all the time, and I was the first guy to ever tell her no. And so when we would have these conversations, I'm like, these guys are just all trying to fuck you, honey. Like they're going to say whatever they got to say. Of course they said yes. And it took her a while before she came to the realization, like, oh my God, Michael's right. Like I had no idea. I need to learn some skills. Like, what the fuck is going on here? I didn't understand like how easy my life was because I was beautiful and everyone was telling me
like yes. the larger narrative, like, because this is like a really good illustration of a larger narrative, which is that I brought up before, is like it's empiricism. It's like the real world reality versus what you want it to be, what you hope it would be, what society tells you it should be, what your emotions feel like. I feel like it should be this way, right? So like I put it in the illustration I use is if you got like the guy who is the male who is the #1 female swimmer because he's decided that he's going to be transgender and he's going to identify as a female. He's going to go into that competition. He's just going to dominate. He's the #1 female swimmer in that league. He's the number 427th, male swimmer, but he goes in there because he identifies as that. What that is we've been pandering to this emotionalism for so long and building up ego and building up, and this is just in one isolated incident, right? That when we put that guy into a real situation and he goes in there and he dominates, then now what we're saying is, well, we've been pandering these people. We've been pandering to their emotional needs, their emotionalism, which is, I feel like I'm a woman, right? And now you put that person into a situation, to a real life situation where they go in there and they dominate that sport. Then what you're doing is you're having the empirical world, the real world, that's clashing with your emotional world. Like, this is what I hope is going to be. I hope it's going to work like. And now we're forced into a position where we have to reconcile that. So like now, of course, women's sports don't want to have a biological male that's in there because it ruins the sport. It fundamentally changes the sport when you do that. The other thing is like the WNBA, like back in I think it was like 2002 or something like that. There was actually league-wide memos saying that they were going to lower the net. Or like the height of the net, right?
They were considering it.
They were considering it. It didn't happen, but they were considering lowering so that the ladies could dunk, right? Because they'd life below the net, right? But they didn't do it. And why didn't they do it? Because it fundamentally changes the nature of that game. It has to be here. This is where we do it, and this is the nature of the game. And if it's not called basketball anymore. It's called women's pussy ball or whatever it is. Like they have. So now it's children's basketball because that's what they do is they lower the net, right? But because what it is it's a desire not to get better or have a better player of the game. It's a change the nature of the game to suit the talents of that player instead of the other way around. Get good or change the nature of the game. And when we're talking about like a female motivated, a female incentivized organization of society, is always change the game, not become a better player of it. Whereas for men, when we're working in hierarchies, it's never changed the game and always just do better, like you become a better player at it.
If you're watching this, I have a gift for you. Click the link below and I will send you a private invite to my community. And yes, it's absolutely free.